Bedtime Stories with the Story Club for Kids. Hello, children. It's time to wind up for the day and settle down for the night. I hope all of you have brushed your teeth and are ready for bed. Now, let's begin our first bedtime story for tonight. Now, let's listen to the story of the Cracked Pot by Dulce Rodriguez. There was once an elderly Chinese woman who had two large pots, each hanging on the ends of a pole which she carried across her neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walks from the stream to the house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments. But the poor cracked pot was not happy of its own imperfection and was sad that it could only do half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be a bitter failure, the cracked pot spoke to the woman one day by the stream. "I am so sad about myself because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your house." The old woman smiled. "Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the path but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw. So I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back, you water the plants. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table at home. Without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty to grace the house. Each of us has our own unique flaw. But it's the cracks and the flaws that we each have that make our lives together so very interesting and rewarding. You have just got to take each person for what they are and look for the good in them. Remember to enjoy the perfume and the scent of the flowers on your side of the path. And remember that each one of us is special." The end. And now, let us listen to our next story. Let's listen to the story of Cinderella. Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Cinderella. She lived with her father, stepmother, and stepsisters. One day, her father had to go to a faraway land for some work. Soon after he left, her stepmother told Cinderella to do all the housework. Cinderella was very kind and obedient, so she did what she was told to do. Her only friends were the mice and the birds. One day, there was an announcement made by the king. "Our prince will be having a ball at the castle. All the lovely girls of the kingdom are invited to the ball." The stepsisters informed their mother about the invitation, and they began with their preparations for the ball. The stepsisters wanted to look their best. Cinderella also wished to go, but her stepmother asked her to complete the housework before sleeping. After everybody left, Cinderella was very sad and started to cry. Suddenly, a fairy appeared and told her, "My beautiful girl, don't cry. You will go to the castle." Cinderella couldn't believe the fairy. She said, "Just look at me. How can I go to the ball?" The fairy said, "Don't worry. I am here to help you. Now, bring a pumpkin and a few mice." With her magic wand, the fairy turned the pumpkin into a beautiful carriage. Then she turned one of the mice into a coachman and the other into a beautiful white horse. Then Cinderella's old dress turned into a beautiful gown, and the old slippers on her feet turned into glass slippers. Cinderella was happy and excited to go to the ball. But the fairy asked her to remember one thing. She should be back home before the clock strikes 12, midnight, because by then everything will turn back into what it was before. Her mesmerizing carriage reached the palace. The prince asked, "Most beautiful young lady, would you please dance with me?" Cinderella agreed. They both danced all night long. Suddenly, she saw the big clock and it was almost 12 midnight. Cinderella ran out as quickly as she could. When she was running down the stairs of the castle, she dropped one of her glass slippers. When she ran further, the clock struck 12. Everything turned back to what it was before. When the prince went after her, he spotted the glass slipper on the stairs. He told his guards to find the owner of the glass slipper. Next day, the guards went to every house in the kingdom. After roaming the entire day, they reached Cinderella's house, where both her stepsisters tried the glass slipper, but they were disappointed. Cinderella too tried the glass slipper, and to everyone's surprise, it fitted her perfectly. The guards were happy that they found the owner of the glass slipper. She went to the palace with the guards. The prince was happy to see Cinderella, and they both got married and lived happily ever after. The end. And now, let's listen to the last story for tonight. This is an Aesop's fable called Belling the Cat. The mice once called a meeting to decide on a plan to free themselves of their enemy, the cat. At least they wished to find some way of knowing when the cat was coming, so they might have time to run away and hide. Indeed, something had to be done, for they lived in such constant fear of the cat's claws that they hardly dared move from their dens by night or day. Many plans were discussed, but none of them was thought to be good enough. At last, a very young mouse got up and said, "I have a plan that seems very simple, but I know it will be successful. All we have to do is to hang a bell about the cat's neck. When we hear the bell ringing, we will know beforehand that our enemy, the cat, is coming." All the mice were much surprised that they had not thought of such a plan before. But in the midst of the rejoicing over their good fortune, an old mouse arose and said, I will say that the plan of the young mouse to tie the bell around the cat's neck is very good. But let me ask you this one question. Who will bell the cat? And all the mice just looked at each other, wondering what to do. It is one thing to say that something should be done, but quite a different matter to do it yourself. The end. And that's all for tonight. Good night, sleep tight, and don't let the bedbugs bite. Bye bye, children.